Hello, welcome to video training. We'll be covering accounts payable. Level 1, Chapter 3, Payments, Credits, and Debits. From the main menu, select Accounts Payable. From the Payables menu, select Posting. Now prior to this, we've gone over in previous chapters, entering bills. We entered bills and paid them at the same time. We entered bills and paid them by credit card and debit card. We also entered bills that said, okay, they're due at a particular date. We also used hand post payment, which is strictly for going in, putting payments in that we pay. Now what we want to do is pay some bills. Now typically there are two ways of paying bills. This is more of a manual way, and we're going to be showing you that first. What you also want to look at is selecting checks and payments, where it'll actually ask you the date due. It'll list all the checks that are due, and you can pick and choose the one you want to pay, and it'll just print all the checks automatically. That's much more streamlined. But this is very popular if you want to just kind of really scrutinize where you're writing checks and really take your time and look at things. And this is probably what you'd want to do if cash flow is a little bit on the tight side. There are two options we're going to be going over. Post manual, post payments manual, post payment print checks. They're exactly the same thing. The only difference is one will print each check that you say print. The other one is going to assume that you're going to write the check by hand or you wrote the check already. So we're just going to go in and we're going to do manual check. First question it's going to ask me is what checking account do we want to use? Obviously this is looking at our banks that we've created in bank maintenance, or are we going to be paying bills by cash? Are we going to be paying some bills by credit card? Maybe we're going to use our credit card and we're going to pay 2 or 3 bills. Let's just use the checking account. As of right now, what's in our bank balance is $100,000. Now it's basically saying, okay, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do as far as the vendor? Now I can look up a vendor by just typing in the first couple of letters. I can also look up the vendor by hitting lookup. This is our standard lookup, which has a keyword by name, by account. Let's look at Mass Electric. Now if we look at Mass Electric, right now I owe them $329. That is due now. Now the total balance I owe them obviously is $1,600. Basically this $1,278 is on hold, which means it's not considered due now. I can change it to due if I wish by selecting pay code, change pay code. And if I do that, I can select pay code. It wants to know the date I'm doing this. Okay, I'm going to do it today. And I would select the line that I want to change a pay code for. Now I can change a pay code from hold to pay, which means now I owe $1,600. I can change something from pay to hold. So there again, all that really means is that if I did a check run, this would not come up and want to print a check for this. If I hit escape, there again. So if you want to release it, you can. You still can override any hold in this mode here. For example, suppose I want to pay something on this account. Well, there's a button here that says Pay Vendor. When we select Pay Vendor, a couple other buttons appear in the bottom. Number 1, Pay in Full. What that means is just going to pay these 2 invoices that are due right now, pay. That's the amount of the check it's going to write, and those things are going to be fully paid. Pretty simple. Or I can enter an amount that I want to pay. Maybe I want to write a check for $100, and that's it. And I just want to select the $100 and pick and choose where I want that $100 allocated. Or let's do it this way first. Let's just say I want to pay that $185 in full. So if I want to pay in full, I'm just going to hit the Enter key. Okay, I'll be writing a check for $185. Let's suppose this one right here. Let's suppose that hold one. Maybe I call the vendor. I have a problem with it. That's why I put it on hold. I told the vendor, look, I'll pay $200 on that account, but we need to talk about it. So I'm going to select it anyway. It comes up with a warning. It basically says this item is on hold. You sure you want to pay it? I can override it and say yes. And it says that's the total amount, $1,278. Well, I don't want to pay the whole thing in full. What I want to do is just pay $200. So notice what it did. You know, we've got these two dark blue. It's going to take this $329 and say 200 is for this, which gives me a balance of that. Another 185 is for this here, which gives me a balance of 0. Now I have a couple other options here. If I look at this and say, nope, I changed my mind, I haven't done anything as of right now, I can hit cancel. If I hit cancel, it'll go right back to the way it was. If in fact I want to print a check, I would hit escape. It now says, what's the check number? If that's not the right check number, I would type in the check number in. What's the date of the check? Now this is extremely important. When you're balancing your checkbook, you want your dates to match up. If you wrote this check out 2 days ago, you want the computer to know that you wrote it out 2 days ago. So you would actually select, yes, I wrote it Monday. Okay to update? Yes. It's now making my general ledger entries. It's basically saying, okay, I'm taking $385 out of that checking account, and your accounts payable is now reduced by $385. Okay. Now there are many other options here. For example, let's do this again. Let's go in and say I want to pay vendor. But this time, if I select pay in full, it'll just pay that the balance of $144. Or I can say, you know what, I want to pay $200 again. Now notice it says, all right, there's $200 in here. Now this works the opposite. I can hit pay in full, which means it's going to allocate that $200 to the oldest and move on. Or I can hit F8, which means I'm not going to apply it to anything. Or I'm going to select this right here, and I want all of it to go to that, which now leaves me $56. Now if I hit escape now, it's going to say that's fully paid and I have $56 that are unallocated. Or maybe what I'm going to do is allocate the rest, even though this is on hold. So now that's 0. And here's my check. Here's the date I'm writing the check. We're done. It's my general ledger. I'm done, and here's my balance. Now there are many other options we can do here too. I can put a payment in and have it as unallocated. Maybe I'm going to prepay something. Let's go in and say, you know what, I'm going to write a check for $2,000 or maybe $1,000, and it's for an invoice that I haven't received yet. Let's go in and pay vendor. I'm going to key in an amount. I'm writing a check for $1,000. But this time, the bill hasn't come in yet. I'm prepaying something. They said if you give me $1,000 and you prepay, we'll give you a discount. You get a better deal. Okay, I'm prepaying. I'm going to hit F8. I don't have anything to allocate this to. What's the check I'm using to write it? There's the date of the check. Okay. Is my entry. I'm taking it out of my checking account, and obviously my payables is being reduced. What do I want for a description? It'll default to unallocated payment, but maybe I want to change this to prepay. And now that's on here with a $1,000 credit. Now there are many other options. For example, if I hit this button that says checks, it'll list every single check I've written. And when it lists it, it lists the check number, the date of the check number, and the amount of the check. We also have some other options. For example, other options. Obviously, this would just go next, and allows me to, go in and look at all my different vendors. This here will list all the checks. This here is the same as hitting that button. This says display all detail. For example, let's go back to Mass Electric. And I'm going to say, you know what, this is, when I'm looking at this screen, it's telling me I have $98,000 in my checking account. And as of right now, this is really what's outstanding. I got a $1,000 check that I wrote that I didn't say was allocated for anything. I also have this bill on hold. Now, if I want to see everything that's outstanding, and if you look at other options, it says display all detail. When I say all detail, now this is showing everything that's ever happened to this vendor. On the other screen, it doesn't show things that are paid. It only shows things that are outstanding. In this case, there's only 2 things outstanding: the unallocated cash that we haven't allocated and the thing on hold that we still owe. All these are obviously paid. You can select on any of them and get more detail. For example, it lets me know the date the invoice number, the date it was put in. It lets me know the date we paid it. It lets me know the check number we used to pay it and the date of the check. I can select here and look at the general ledger entries for this, what general ledger entries were created. So you can find out as much information as you wish. Another option over here, change bank. Maybe I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I want to change banks. I don't want to write checks from that bank anymore. This will bring you back to this screen. Maybe I want to pay by credit card. So now I'm selecting by credit card. So this allows you to change bank, enter invoice. Maybe I want to, while I'm here, I can pretty much do anything I want. I can enter a brand new invoice. I can create a brand new vendor. So in this one place, I pretty much can do anything I want. Let's enter a new invoice. Here's my electric company. Or if I wanted to, I could select new and add a brand new vendor. So in this one spot, you can pretty much do anything you want. You can add new vendors, put bills in, pay bills, put credit memos in, do everything you want in one place. But let's put a new bill in. Maybe that bill that I want to allocate that to is here. I'm going to call it new bill. And there we'll just use today's date. And let's just go in here and say that this bill is $1,000. And I'm going to put it in as just a payable. There again, we could put it in as paid now and cut the check. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to hit post. OK to post. It's making my general ledger entries for me. OK. And now that bill is in there. And now, if you notice, we have our new bill that needs to be paid. Now, let's suppose that, okay, I want to pay something. Now, whenever you have something in as unallocated, which we do here, when you hit Pay Vendor, it'll always list things that you have not allocated. And what it's telling me is that there's a $1,000 check out there that you haven't allocated to a particular bill yet. Do you want to do that now? If I select the line, and I could have more than one, obviously, it'd list them all. But at this point, I would probably want to, maybe I want to allocate this. If I don't, I would just hit the escape key. And now I can pay, maybe I want to pay a little bit more on this guy right here. And I'm going to override it, and maybe I'm going to write a check for $300. And now I'm just going to cut a check for $300. All set. Bang, bang. We're done. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is let's do this. Let's go here. And now I want to allocate that $1,000. You'd select it. Now what it does, it treats it as if you just type that in. So there's $1,000. If I want to just say, okay, I'm going to pay it to the oldest invoice, it's going to put it to this one right here. Yes, it's done. So there again, you can put things in as unallocated. You can allocate them later. You can enter invoices. You can change banks. We're going to go back, and now we're back up over here. Now, what you can also do is do debit memos. If I select debit memos, I can say, okay, I need to do a debit memo to that. A debit memo is, you'd select the line, select item to, oh, I'm sorry, I did credit memo, not debit memo. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do our credit. Maybe this is on hold, but we talked to the supplier, and he said, okay, we'll give you a $200, credit. And what's the account number? Obviously, you know the account number. You type it in. And now we've got our account number in there. And we've put in our $200 credit. If you need to do a debit memo, now we're in selecting credits. We're done doing credits. Now we're going to go in here, and there again we selected enter credit. We can also do enter debit. It's the same thing. Select line to debit. We would select the line we want to debit. We're doing a debit memo. Obviously the payable balance is 522. Let's say we're going to add 111 to it, and this would be the reason, for maybe error. And you would type in the account number if you don't know the account number that you want this applied to. Obviously, you'd pick the account number that you wish to use. There's my accounts made. There's the description, and now we're back to 633. So, when you're done doing debit memos, obviously you hit the escape key. So in here, you can actually enter new invoices, create new vendors, change banks, enter debit memos, enter credit memos, and pay bills. There again, do a lookup. Suppose I just want to do a prepay something on this here. If I want to pay this here and I just want to pay the oldest, well, the oldest is only going to be it's going to be a check for $5,300. Collect here, pay in full. Here's my check, and there again, it's only going to write a check for the things that are due. Okay. So in this one place, and it's a very convenient place to be, you pretty much can go here and there again, do all the necessary things that you need to do, even creating a brand new vendor. If I wanted to create a brand new vendor, I could go enter invoice, hit the space bar, say add new, add a new vendor. And obviously you'd key in as much or as little as you want. You know, put in your terms here. Put in your account number. There again, if you don't know it, you probably want to look it up. Let's look at some expense account here. We'll just pick anyone here. General advertising is good. And we're just going to, let's on this one here say that's normally an auto deduction. And we're going to say add. And if I want to, I can actually, now that I've added, I can actually put a bill in. $200. I'm just going to hit F12. That new bill is in there. Here's my account that's been hit. I'm all set. Now that account is now in my system. If I do a lookup, you know, and we see this new, there it is right there, and there's my account. If I want to pay this now, there again, I hit pay. I want to pay in full. Now it defaults to auto deduction. Notice because I selected auto deduction, notice the default, and that's very important. The default here is highlighted at deduction because I said that vendor is normally an auto deduction. So I put the bill in, maybe now they deducted it. Now if it's not an auto deduction, obviously I would change that and select over here. But I'm going to select auto deduction. And now it's going to record that as an auto deduction out of that checking account. And when we list it, auto deductions are always going to have this series, this 90,000 or 900,000. That's all auto deductions. Okay, so we've done all this all within these two options here. Obviously, you can just manually go in and do a debit memo and a credit memo for any account you want. If you need to do a debit memo, you select debit memo. You would look up the account you want to do it for. Let's do Yamaha. Okay, select item to debit. Okay, the balance is this. Maybe I want to add another $200. And maybe because it was an error, correct. And if I know the account number, I would type the account number. And if not, do a lookup. There's the account number. Now, notice the balance is now increased by $200. Okay, credit memo, same thing. If we need to credit memo something, there again, select the line we want to credit. Put in your credit memo, the reason why you're doing the credit, the account number you want it to apply to. It's telling me it's on hold, just warning me. Did I make a mistake or not? Nope. That's okay. There's my general ledger entries. And now notice there's our credit. Okay. Obviously, a year-to-date recap is a convenient place where we can look and see everything that we've done. Here's our credit that we put in. You can select any particular item, and it'll tell you exactly what happened. Here's the invoice date. Here's the date. This is the date of the credit memo. I can select here and look at all my GL entries. So you can get as much detail as you wish. And there again, this is the history of your payments and credits and so forth. Okay, this concludes this section, and now we'll move on to the next chapter.